Good evening, one and all. Welcome to the Monday night digital prayers for the Nottingham and Derby district. I'm Tavanna, and I just want to take a moment to welcome you all. Be you watching this when it goes live today on the 24th of July, for those that don't know what day we're on, for watching this at a later date on Facebook, or maybe you're watching this via the YouTube channel and playlist. Regardless, you are most welcome here today. However you find yourself here, be you listening, watching, or any other way. Let us take a moment to still our hearts and minds and be open to the works of the Spirit. In the hustle and bustle of this day, the jobs we know we need to do, the barrage of sounds and smells, God, make us still. In the anxiety of what is yet to come, the plans that are to be made, the panic of delays, God, make us present. And in the raging ocean of our thoughts, the pull of emotions, the clinging to the edge by our fingers, God, grant us peace. Amen. I don't know about you, but there isn't really a lot on TV that I want to watch that's new recently. I'm about 10 years behind on EastEnders. I've never been a big fan of Britain's Got Talent or Love Island. And I've never really been a fan of true crime documentaries, even though there are hundreds of true crime documentaries. Give me a good medical drama like Grey's Anatomy, or a fantasy adventure like Merlin, or Have I Got News for You and I Will Be Happy. Yet, over the weekend, I was drawn to watching The Secrets of Hillsong. It's a four-part documentary around the scandals surrounding Hillsong, New York, its former pastor, Carl Lentz, and the wider uncovering of historic cases of abuse, cover-ups within the church, money laundering, and a culture of fear and control centralized with its founder, Brian Houston. I was enthralled by this documentary for a lot of reasons, more so than any other documentary, because it touches a lot on not only how this single corporation of churches failed at so many different levels, but how it demonstrated how there were so many opportunities to address the issues, but they were just ignored at best and covered up at worst. Throughout the documentary, there are interviews with former members of the church, former pastors, former lay workers, each speaking openly and honestly and heartbreakingly about their experiences and how it impacted their faith. It's honestly deeply moving and deeply challenging, and I would encourage you all to watch it if you can. The documentary appeared in my viewing at a time where John 7 was the lectionary readings. I couldn't help but watch and be reflecting in real time about what is being said on the show, what's being said in the lectionary, in combination with the experiences I know of others I've met, my own personal experiences in the church, and recent articles about Soul Survivor and these passages and so much more. John 7:25 is where the context, where Jesus is preaching in Jerusalem and responds to the crowds in their somewhat misguided ideas from the Pharisees and priests. He cries out, "You think you know me and where I am from, but that is not where I am from. I didn't set myself up in business. My true origins is in the one who sent me, and you don't know him at all." The Pharisees were alarmed at this seditious undertow that was going through this crowd that was listening to Jesus, which, as an aside, I deeply loved the wording and the parallels between what was being said from the leadership of Hillsong within this documentary and what the Pharisees were saying in this conversation. They would try to have Jesus arrested, but the lawmen would not lay hands on him. Then later they tried the same thing again. Some went so far as wanting to arrest him, but no one laid a hand on him. That's when the temple police reported back to the high priests and the Pharisees, and they demanded, "Why didn't you bring him with you?" And the lawman answered, have you not heard the way that he talks? We've never heard anyone speak like this man before." Then we get to the last part of John 7, and it's here in particular I want us all to reflect on and pray on about today. The Pharisee said, "Are you carried away like the rest of the rabble? You don't see any of the leaders believing in him, do you? Or any of the Pharisees? It's only this crowd, ignorant of God's will, that is taken in by him, and they are damned." Nicodemus, the man who had come to Jesus earlier and was both a ruler and a Pharisee, spoke up. Does our Lord decide about a man's guilt without first listening to him and finding out what he is doing? But they cut him off. "Are you also campaigning for this Galilean? Examine the evidence. See if any prophet ever comes from Galilee." How often are we in the church like Nicodemus, being the voice to speak up against those in positions of leadership and responsibility, even speaking up when we might feel we are in the minority, or the damage that could come to our position, our reputation, all manner of things, putting ourselves on the line? Or are we more often like the Pharisees, wanting to protect our church from those misguided rabble, and yet missing the works of God that are happening before us? I know, like myself and others, maybe yourselves, we'd like to say we are Nicodemus at all times in these situations, or that we're the crowd that are listening to Jesus. Yet, I can't help but wonder if we identify with Nicodemus in theory, but are more like the Pharisees and the priests in practice. A prayer for us this week. God be with us in this coming week. In all that we see, hear, and speak, may it be to glorify you. Give us the courage to challenge injustice around us, to be the voice of God in those situations. Grant us the strength to stand up for our neighbours when others remain silent. Grant us the wisdom to hear those things that challenge us personally, and that we may learn from them. Give us your peace so that we may rest knowing we have done all we can, in all the ways we can, in all the places we can, in all the times, as long as we ever can, that you know that we can. In your name, amen. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back this Thursday at the same time for more reflections and prayers. If you want to catch up for some other prayers, we have a playlist that is on YouTube that we'll be posting tomorrow, which is going to be Tuesday, the 25th, if you are watching this live. Until then, have a God-blessed week, and we'll see you all on Thursday. Goodbye.